Hello and welcome to WJTS in.form. I'm your host, Bill Potter. There's a book out that you'll want to purchase. It's called Keepers of the Gifts. And we're going to talk with the author of that, a local man, Jahn. Tom is a retired conservation officer for the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. Tom, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Bill.
Well, we have a book here, A Game Warden Legacy. I guess, first of all, what inspired you to write a book? Because you're a conservation officer, not your typical author.
Well, no, I haven't written anything. As a matter of fact, I couldn't even use a computer until about 5 years ago, so this was kind of an undertaking. But, it's just years of stories. And as I finished a career in the outdoors and as a conservation officer, game warden was a word that everybody knew when I came on. Mm-hmm. The actual title's a conservation officer, but I always took pride in that game warden word.
Sure.
And that's the work. But the stories, not that my stories are that much better than anybody else's, because they're not. But I was thinking, wow, what I'd like to do is have some stories of officers before me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know any of them. The guys are gone, a lot of them. And the stories are past, and there aren't any documentation. And quite honestly, this is the first book that I know of in Indiana that's been published on officers' stories and the things that happened in the outdoors over the years. So that was kind of a thought, and it's kind of a tribute to officers across the country who serve and protect our natural resources.
Who are you hoping reads the book? Who are you looking to get this in the hands of?
Well, people who are outdoor enthusiasts, but people who aren't, because those people don't have an idea what the job is and what the outdoors, people who, and I'm surprised at how many folks who have bought them that have no connection really with outdoor activities, but they seem to be enjoying the book and learn a little bit about some of the things that go on in the outdoors and in the wildlife officer area.
Well, let's talk about what conservation officers do.
Sure.
You're a fully fledged police officer. You have responsibilities just like other police officers, a little different though. Yeah. You also take care of Indiana's state properties.
Yes, actually, like you said, it is full. And the original game warden, which is how it all started, basically just took care of fish and wildlife. Okay. They enforced fish and wildlife laws. And then when it became a conservation officer and started taking on new duties, it did become full law enforcement. And because of, quite honestly, on a park and a busy holiday weekend in a campground, you've got the same issues and the same problems that you have in any city. Mm-hmm. There's criminal activity going on there at times. There's things that happen, even though you try. It's a pretty safe environment. There's still the elements that come in there that can create the problems. So it became full law enforcement, and it's not just on the parks and natural resource properties, but it's full law enforcement anywhere. So officers can enforce laws, although our priorities are and should always be natural resource oriented in public lands and rivers and streams and lakes and fish and wildlife.
Well, now imagine a book like this, that people who are hunters, mm-hmm. people who are fishermen, mm-hmm. People who are property owners would really enjoy what's in this, and those who are police officers would enjoy it, but just general public will find this to be very good reading. What are some of the stories that are highlights for you? Because you say this is different stories.
Yeah. There's and again, there's about 30 short stories in the book, and probably half of them deal with chasing poachers and fish trappers and game thieves and things, and that's kind of the about half of the book. Okay. And then probably a third of it is gets into fighting fire and stories of fire and one particular fire that was a tragedy fire in Colorado that I was on, and kind of the stories of that. And then there's some funny stories in it too. There's some that'll bring a pretty good laugh out of you, hopefully, and those deal with some of the crazy wildlife stuff we get into, the critters that you pick up and the things that you deal with that people give you calls to, and some of that. And there's some water rescue stuff, some stories there. So there's just a variety in that, and I don't know that any one would strike me as better than the other. It's a mix, and that's what people seem to like about it. It's a mix of stories, in a lot of different areas of work, and some tough lessons learned in the field.
What are some of those?
Oh, gosh. You know, I guess the hardest one, and the hardest one for me to write, was the loss of a friend, another conservation officer. We worked together. We were together when it happened. He literally died in my arms, and I struggled with sharing that story. And then I thought, I can't write the book without sharing the story.
Right.
So there's some heart stories in here, and there's some other tragedy stories, but there's some things that tug at your heart and bring a smile to your face.
But these are all true stories?
All true stories. No names.
Okay.
Names to protect the innocent and protect the ones that aren't innocent as well sometimes. So yeah, it's true stories, all stuff that is, and I put in the front as best I can recollect. Now at 60 years old, there might be some things I've forgotten the stories. Some of them were left out intentional, things that were left out intentional just to provide a little less embarrassment to somebody maybe, but they're all true stories. Mm-hmm.
Now, looking at the cover, it's a great picture, and to me that is what Indiana forest looked like, but it's a little inspirational for you too.
Yeah, it is. It is the sunlight through the forest, and just like I say, it's Indiana woods in the summer. You know, and it's a picture that I just it kind of struck me, and I felt like it needed to be the cover, and the folks that put the book together did a fine job of putting that together as well.
You also have there's inspiration in the book. You have a little underlying inspirational message.
Yeah, there is, and I guess there again it gets back to it's I felt like it couldn't be just stories. Mm-hmm. There needed to be some inspiration behind it. There's some of the stories that deal with, again, some tough times and lessons learned, and a little bit of my faith. I felt like I had to be unashamed of my faith as I shared these stories. So there's lessons learned, and there's hopefully some things that somebody else might gain from reading this book and reading some of the stories in it.
Okay, and probably a lesson learned that you never thought you would at the beginning of your conservation degree would be, you're a publisher in a way now, right?
Oh,
you know, what was that like to come up with a book and publish it?
Well, I would have never guessed years ago. Like I say, I would have never thought. Although anybody can publish a book, the question is it any good?
Okay.
I'll let the readers be the judge of that. But from what's been happening, I'm impressed with the people who have picked it up and have read it and have told me they haven't put it down once they started reading it till they got finished. So it's humbling.
Is it being printed?
It is in print right now. It is for sale right now. May, actually, the book come out in May.
Okay.
And it's a finished product, and we have copies now for sale. I self-published it. We did it ourselves, which means we up-fronted it and had to pay the cost of doing that. So we're trying to recover some of that as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Are you trying? Is this your way of paying for your retirement? But you said no. This is my way to. I have to recover this to pay. Yeah.
Well, there you go. If I'm going to retire, I need to recover some of it. So I've got money. Yeah. No, it's a project that quite honestly, it's surprising me how well it's selling. So now I'm thinking, wow, it is going to pay for itself. But at the time, you wonder when you're investing quite a few $1,000s in it if that'll come back. But it's been good. How can somebody get the book? Where is the book available? Okay. Probably the easiest way, if you're on a computer, is to go to, I've got a website. It's Tom Jahn, that's Jahn, tomjahn.com. And at that website then, there's a page where you can order the book. You can contact me and get a book. Or you can go to the different places, the publisher, or to Amazon, and if you want to put it on a credit card. So if you want to contact me direct, I'd be glad to make the arrangements. And by going to tomjahn.com, you can get phone number and address and email address and make that contact. So yeah, they're out there, they're available, and love to get them in the hands of folks. Have there been reviews come back on this yet? Is this on the bestseller list yet? Well, hardly making the bestseller list, okay. At least locally. But it is making the seller list. That's the important thing. It is selling, right. So we're grateful for it. And there's some reviews actually on the website. Folks can post a review, what they think of the book and that. So there are a few on there, but we're getting a lot of positive feedback. Again, it's kind of just kind of humbling. Surprised me that the amount of response we've got from it, and people who have come back and bought numbers of books, mm-hmm. 2 or 3 extra books after they had their first copy to give as gifts. So it's been encouraging. We're not just selling one to people. A lot of times we're selling 2 or 3. They're coming back for more and say, wow. And they need to be in the schools, especially locally, so people understand. Well, yeah, it could be required reading maybe. Well, actually, Vincennes Conservation Law Program in Vincennes University. The professor down there had gotten a hold of me, and they're planning on making that a required read for first-year students in Conservation Law Program. And we're doing some library things this week, some signings at the library. Actually, I suppose when this is aired, it won't be this week, but right now we're doing some library things and getting some books into the library, so they should be available in public libraries.
So Tom Jahn's on a book tour.
Isn't that scary? Isn't that something?
You know, I guess when you started
Who'd have thunk it,
how long have you been a conservation officer?
Well, I had 37 years.
Wow.
Most of it in the field, most of it in Du Bois County. As a matter of fact, 33 or so years we're here in Du Bois County as a local officer here in the county. And I spent the last years in district headquarters as one of the district supervisors.
And maybe for somebody to understand the passion behind a book like this, what does it take to be a conservation officer? I mean, you have to be a special kind of person. And every conservation officer I've met have always been very impressed with. There's just something about their passion.
Well, you have to have a drive and a passion for the natural resources, for the gifts. And that, of course, is the book, Keepers of the Gifts. The keepers are the conservation officers. The gifts are the natural resources. And we've been given a responsibility to protect the natural resources. And that's where the title just laid it on my heart. We are the keepers, and we're given that responsibility, and you have to have a passion to protect those, or you're not going to stay out there in the woods when it gets hot and cold and miserable, and you need to be there, and you need to stay put, and it's a passion behind the guys that serve, and that's why it's kind of a tribute to those who serve across the country in this profession. Obviously, you've got guys that do it well and guys that maybe don't do it quite as well, but to really do the job, you've got to care about the resources that you're out there.
And right here in Du Bois County, we've got some really nice parks.
Sure do.
I frequent the Ferdinand State Forest a lot. Just a nice little simple place with good hiking.
Yeah.
And then we have Patoka close by in Lincoln.
Oh, wonderful places.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's one of your favorite places? What's one of your
gosh.
favorite state parks? And I guess we shouldn't put you on the spot because they're all unique in a different way. But
yeah. I like the quieter places. You mentioned Ferdinand State Forest. Nice place. Some of the national forests, wow, we've got so much national forest in this part of the country. It's not quite as populated on the weekends and quite as busy as some of the bigger ones. Even the bigger places are great, particularly if you can get out in the middle of the week. But they get pretty busy sometime on weekends, and they become little cities like we talked about. But those smaller areas, you look at the forests like Martin and Pike and Ferdinand, and look at some of those places, and they're just really nice, sometimes underused places. People think of the bigger parks like Lincoln and of course Patoka Reservoir, which are great places to go. But they are, you get more people. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you want a nice weekend with neighbors right close to you, then go to Patoka or go to Lincoln. If you want a quieter park, then do one of the state forests or the national forest campgrounds.
Well, Tom, thank you very much for coming in. And we want you folks to know this book is out and about. It would make, Christmas comes up before you know it. It's a great gift, especially if you know of somebody that's a camper or a hunter. They really would appreciate this. Keepers of the Gifts, a game warden legacy, written by Tom Jahn, a retired conservation officer here in Du Bois County. And Tom, anything that you'd like to add before we sign off?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to come out, and hopefully the book will touch some people's hearts.
And let's see if we can't get on the bestseller list.
There you go.
At least in Du Bois County. All right.
All
Tom
right.
Jahn, thank you very much for being
Bill.
our guest.
Appreciate
and thank
it.
you for watching WJTS in.form. We are local people watching local people.